Serata tajba, grazzi l-telespettaturi Maltin Wawċin illi il-lejla qegħdin ifittxu xi ħaġa aktar u għażlu lilna il-programm Frux fuq Shake Television. Il-lejla għandna programm interessanti fil-fatt ser nagħmel introduzzjoni qasira sabiex nintroduċi lill-ewwel mistiedna tiegħi il-lejla hija mistiedna esklusiva. Fil-fatt qed nirreferi għal persuna illi mhux biss hija ġurnalista imma hija ġurnalista li tinvestiga bħalissa qiegħda f'Malta fuq proġett verament interessanti magħruf bħala Project Camelot. Qed nirreferi għal Kerry Cassidy illi bħalissa tinsab f'Malta, dina fost oħrajn qiegħda tgħid illi qed tiġi investigat illi Malta hija lost civilization, hija parti minn Atlantis u se naraw eżattament din il-ġurnalista il-lejla x'ser tgħidilna. Biex nispjegaw anke dwar dan huwa għandna wieħed mit-tim tagħna illi nirringrazzjaw anke għalih li ġibilna dawn it-tip ta' mistiedna fil-programm tagħna Frux, qed nirreferi għal Alfred Difesa u nsellimlu minn hawnhekk. Alfred insellimlek.
Insellimlek Ivan.
Grazzi tal-preżenza tiegħek fil-fatt li minn żmien għal żmien aħna niltaqgħu ma' bnedmin bħal Kerry. Good evening, Kerry. Thanks for coming in my program Frux. Fil-fatt, Alfred, Kerry Cassidy bħalissa qiegħda Malta, kien hemm proġett Body, Mind and Spirit.
Kien hemm il-proġett Body, Mind and Spirit, ġiet titkellem fih, ħolqot ħafna interess. Aħna jiena Carmen u persuna oħra inna tmixun niddiljaw ma' Kerry. Kerry qed tipprova tagħmel expedition għal Malta. U qabel ma ġiet organizzajnija, ġiet Malta biex tibda tinvestiga. Kerry hija ġurnalista investigattiva, tinvestiga.
Hija minn California, Amerika.
California, u hi qalet qed tgħid għandha raġunijiet biex temmen li hawn Malta hawn xi ħaġa speċjali. Aħna parti minn Lost Civilization li hija Atlantis. U issa ħansaqsi lilha ħanara x'għandha frasa.
Għal dawk it-telespettaturi illi qegħdin magħna u li forsi jgħidulek ħajtkellmu bl-Ingliż dawn il-lejla, ibqgħu magħna għaliex aħna qegħdin hawnhekk apposta jiena flimkien ma' Alfred biex nispjegaw għal dawk illi forsi ma jifhmunix x'qiegħda tgħid Kerry. U għalhekk napprezza ħafna illi mhux biss tibqgħu magħna imma tifhmu dak li Kerry sejra twasslilna f'dawn l-ewwel part tal-programm tagħna. Napprezzaw verament tibqgħu magħna li din hija intervista esklusiva, aħna jkollna diversi bnedmin interessanti, nippruvaw nġibu fuq kollox u allura il-lejla xejn inqas nisimgħu dak li sejra tgħidilna Kerry kif qal anke sieħbi Alfred għamel introduzzjoni interessanti dwar dak li sejrin ngħidu l-Atlantis. Sa dan it-tant fil-aħħar part tal-programm tagħna Fader Mario qattart ikun miegħi u allura dan ifisser illi nilqgħu it-talbit tagħkom fuq 9940 9697. Napprezzaw ħafna li tkunu magħna fl-ispirtu anke fit-talb fl-aħħar parti tal-programm tagħna. Alfred fidejk.
Insellmilkom, jiena l-ewwel nett dejjem noħu interess fit-teżori li għandna fil-pajjiż. Għandna teżori li għadna ma nafux bihom. U Kerry skoprejna meta tidħol fil-Project Camelot tara kemm tinvestiga affarijiet li mhumiex easy biex issibhom. So, Kerry, welcome to this program. We are telling people about your vision. Now, I think it's better if you speak about it. You came here to investigate and you already spoken to people, visited some temples, so you must have formulated quite an opinion which subscribe to what you think. So, who is Project Camelot and what is this investigation which you are doing about Malta?
Well, I am an investigative reporter, a journalist, and we investigate the mysteries, the conspiracies in our world. And I have a website called Project Camelot. We interview whistleblowers from Above Top Secret. This is our specialty. And we also investigate things like the mysteries of Atlantis and all the mysteries in the world. So we wanted to come to Malta to bring other investigators and to have a small conference with the top researchers into ancient mysteries. And so I plan to come in October in 2014, in this year, and bring a group of the public as well as the speakers to do an investigation, to do some deep sea diving off the coast of Malta to look for signs of Atlantis. And this is our plan. And I'm here in a preliminary trip to investigate the various temples. I went to the Hypogeum and to, let's see, Hajar-Im and Niger. Yes, and to these temples. And I am also a sensitive, so I can feel energies in the temples. And I'm very interested in the story behind Malta and Atlantis.
And before this, she was in Egypt. She had a trip in Egypt.
That's right.
She investigated the pyramids and many other places. So her knowledge, I mean, in knowledge land, fuq dawn l-affarijiet. Allora, meta konna ħaġarim, bdiet tajt hawnhekk hemm xi ħaġa bħala l-Afrika u bdiet issemmi xi ħadd jgħidulu Michael Tellinger. Allora dina qed taqgħod dawn l-esperti li qed ifittxu l-antikitajiet tagħna, l-antikitajiet fid-dinja u tara l-era x'kienu jagħmlu bejniethom. So when this week you have seen and already interviewed some people.
That's right.
So what have you come up with regarding the information which you had before you came here, and now what you have discovered? How would you combine the information?
Well, I can tell you that I am speaking to many people, some on the record, as we say, and some off the record. And I am talking to Anton Massoud, who has written a book on this subject, as well as Hubert Zeitler,
and Francis Aloisio, who wrote a book about these things. Yes.
And Francis.
Yes.
And I am talking to people, also local people, as to their own impressions of this place that they live in all their lives. And I'm getting a sort of an overview of what this place is. And I can tell you that I am now thinking that it could be a place where actually Atlantis was, because I'm getting geologic history about the Mediterranean basin, the story about Plato, and so on. Many of the people in America and the people I've talked to there think that Atlantis was in the Atlantic Ocean, and that Malta would have been an outpost of Atlantis. But the more time I spend here, the incredible energy here on Malta, partly because of the crystalline rock and the ancient sites that we are seeing, is beginning to change my mind and make me think that perhaps there's more here than meets the eye. And I think that this area has not been investigated sufficiently, and that we need to bring the eyes of the world to this place, because I think that there is something very significant that has been going on.
You mentioned the sea as well. You mentioned you want divers.
Yes.
You think there must be something under the waters.
That's right.
And also some people say where there is a temple, there must be a temple below.
Correct.
What do you think about this?
Well, I know that they've already, we have talked to Peja, who has a film company here, and we are hoping that he will work with us to do some deep sea diving. And I understand that there is a temple that also that Hubert has talked about, that he is sure that exists. So we want to investigate these things, and we're hoping to raise some interest, raise some possible funding and support to make this possible. But I also, because of Project Camelot, what I do, and I've been touring the world interviewing, as I say, whistleblowers and authors and researchers in all mysteries. And I've traveled to places like South Africa, to Adam's Calendar. I've interviewed Michael Tellinger. I've made a documentary there. We also took Michael Tellinger and a group in 2012 to Egypt, and we did an investigation there. We went to Abydos and all of the very fantastic sites there. I have been to South Africa 4 times and to Egypt 4 times. And I've also been to England and investigated Stonehenge and the stone circles there. And when you go to the ancient sites, you begin to realize that there is energy there that is in support of raising the consciousness of humanity, so that it is a consciousness-raising experience to actually go to these places, to meditate in these places, And we're hoping to do that here in Malta.
Why, a question which arose to me now while you speak, why does mainstream information do not seek this deeper side of things in general, all over the world? Why do you have to investigate as if this is something secret, which shouldn't be known by the public? I don't know if I'm making sense with the question.
Yes. Well, this is something that Camelot is dealing with all the time. Sometimes our website is taken down. I have a radio show, and sometimes they take me off the air when I'm talking to somebody, even in America, because they don't want the information out there.
But why is that?
Well, because there is a power structure run by the Illuminati here on planet Earth.
Can you tell us something about this?
Yes, they are comprised of individuals that are part of the very highest structures of the military in all the countries of the world, especially the British and the United States. And China has their own power structure, Russia has theirs. These countries have what's called a secret space program. They are trying to rule the world. They are trying to bring about a one world government. And so they are keeping secret and trying to keep dumb down, you might say, the populations of the world, and we are all about awakening the populations of the world.
And so this power structure, does it have context with aliens or ETs? Can you tell us something? Because this is new to us. I don't know how we feel when we're here, but can you tell us something about this?
Well, I can tell you that because our whistleblowers, you understand that I've interviewed whistleblowers for over 8 years, and I interviewed whistleblowers that come from what we call black projects. They are scientists, they are military people with top clearances, and what happens is they retire, they have signed a security oath, but they still want to get the truth out. Their conscience starts to bother them, and they want to speak. They want to speak out. And Camelot has been created for just that purpose. In other words, I take a camera and 1 or 2 other people, and we go to wherever these witnesses are. We spend days, sometimes weeks, getting to know them, investigating their backgrounds and where they worked and so on. And I can tell you that the most important testimony about what is really going on planet Earth is going to come from the whistleblowers.
I see.
And
so,
yes, they are dealing with aliens. We are dealing with the top levels of power are dealing with aliens. We have at least 2 reptilian species that wish to take over the planet, and that we are fighting. And let me say this, that not all of the power structure is bad, that there are what we call white hats, which are the positive individuals who are working in secret. They work undercover for these very powerful organizations, and they are basically fighting the good fight from within, whereas we are on the outside, and they report to us. They report to us in secret, and they confirm this information. So, you know, as I say, for 8 years I've been getting this kind of testimony, and these people are really quite amazing. All of the documented testimony that I've done is free on YouTube. So you can go onto the channel, the Camelot channel on YouTube, and watch hours and hours of testimony.
Yes, so Ivan.
Camelot channel fil-fatt tista' taraħ fuq YouTube għadha kif qaltilna anki Kerry Cassidy fuq YouTube tikteb Project Camelot. CAMELOT, is that okay?
.org, is it?
Yes, and our website is projectcamelot.org.
Yes.
And this is where you can go to get articles, and you get videos, and copies of my radio show, and it's over 400 hours of audio and video footage.
Interessanti ħafna
Ivan, meta tisma' dawn l-affarijiet? Issa ħankellmu ftit bil-Malti inti. Kif xi tħoss? Għax dawn ma ġodda lina. Issa qed tgħid li hemm power structure. Hemm xi ħadd qed jikmanda l-univers u qed jimmanipulah. U daw din il-power għandhom higher technology, ġifi għandhom is-saħħa. X'taħseb fuq għadi? Kif tifhem inti? Tagħmel sens għalik taċċetta it-tiegħek kredibilità Ifimni, issa qed nitkellmu bil-Malti, ġifieri isna
Dwar Illuminati, ġifiri semmit Kerry fil-fatt smajna mhux l-ewwel darba u tnejn. Illum id-dinja tal-internet min jidħol fiha u fittex Illuminati u jsib dwarhom. Jiġifieri ittukx tifhem illi anka fostna qegħdin.
Aħna qed niġu kontrollati u ma nafux.
Ma nafux, le, mhux kif nifhimha jien, imma naħseb illi b'xi mod qegħdin jippruvaw jinfiltraw fis-soċjetajiet tagħna fid-dinja. Però pereżempju jien naf dak li qaret Cassidy pereżempju hawn affarijiet li jikkontrollaw anke r-riħ.
U jottemp.
Jew it-temp.
Tsunamis. For example, we are discussing, Ivan and I, about these power structures and this Illuminati. And we are coming to, there are some powers which can control the weather or the tsunamis, or they can create it. Is it true?
Oh, yes. We have witnesses that have talked about what we call weather wars. And governments are now using weather weapons, which, if you know of a scientist called Wilhelm Reich, who was a German scientist, and he investigated and created these weather weapons, even back in the early, I think it was the 1940s and 50s, and he was killed, eventually imprisoned. But our government, the American government, is also doing weather wars by attacking places like Iran and causing an earthquake, for example. And they can use HAARP, for example.
Yes, I was going to mention HAARP, yes.
And Fukushima, was caused by probably actually a few different kinds of weapons, one of them being a scalar weapon that then triggers undersea charges that were apparently set in the area of where this disaster occurred, and caused a tsunami and caused volcanism in that area, and of course put radiation into our seas. There's also chemtrails, and the chemtrails is a kind of a war on the people to change the environment. They are all about changing the environment, the skies on planet Earth, the waters on planet Earth, to allow for an alien species to occupy this Earth.
We do see chemtrails in Malta. We do see them. What are they? What do they do?
Well, we have scientists who are investigating what they are made of, and every country is getting chemtrails, but some are different. They are composed of different elements, and barium, cesium, and other elements, and also nanotech. We understand that there is a nano, also viruses are put into these chemtrails, things that weaken the immune system so that the human beings will die earlier, because they are very interested. They have an agenda, this overall world government, which is secret. They have a secret agenda, and it's all about taking over the planet. It's about eliminating a large sector of the population that is now older, and they're using chemtrails to change our atmosphere.
This is similar to the Nazis, the ideas of the Nazis.
Yes.
It seems that these ideas, so the war was lost, but the ideas kept going on.
Well, Project Paperclip is very well known. We have researchers like Joseph Farrell and Jim Marrs, who have written books on this subject, who have done a great deal of investigation. Jim Marrs is a highly respected journalist, writer, and remote viewer who has written over 10 books, and he investigated the Kennedy assassination and many other things. But he has written about this group that has taken over America and taken over the American government, which are basically Nazis. For all intents and purposes, the Bush cabal, as we call it, supported the Nazis, even in the early days of Hitler and all of that. And then when the war ended, these Nazis immigrated and were given access to work in the space program for Americans, as well as a certain group of them went to the Russians, and another group apparently went to Argentina and has a very large underground base in Argentina.
So it seems, the way you speak, that every disaster behind it is man-made. It's not accidental then. it's
Many
almost
disasters. I won't say every disaster, but certainly we know that Stuxnet was a computer virus that was put into Fukushima. There's a whistleblower called Jim Stone, who is an NSA whistleblower, who has done a lot of investigation, and I've interviewed him a number of times regarding the Fukushima disaster. And what basically happened was the Israelis and the Americans created a computer sort of virus called Stuxnet. And what it did was it gave a reading at Fukushima at the nuclear power plants, which told them that there was nothing melting down, that everything was fine. And it held the measurement at a certain level so that they thought there was no problem, when in fact they were melting down.
I see.
And this caused the disaster, as well as this triggering of a scalar weapon that was used. They also use a certain time in terms of the planetary alignments, when things are facilitated to allow for nuclear explosions. And all of this went into the Fukushima disaster.
So this is higher intelligence being used for I don't understand. This is higher intelligence being used to control, to manipulate humanity.
Yes, for a negative agenda, you would say.
Yes.
In other words, you must understand that the reptilian species, who are also descended from the Draco and the Draco, constellation, have come here to Earth and believe that they own the Earth. They believe they were here first and it belongs to them. They are also, human beings are a combination of various ET races, we believe. More and more investigation has gone on in this area. And basically, our governments have made deals with certain ET races in exchange for technology. And
so these races are giving us information on technology.
Yes, absolutely. And there are also crashed UFOs. And you can understand that even in Africa, if a UFO was to crash, the Americans will be on the scene almost immediately. They will pay the government a great deal of money in order to take control of the crash, to take the technology out under the cover of nightfall, etc. And they will completely own the crash. So they have been doing this now for 40, 50 years. And obviously this secret space program, as we say, these black projects, are very far down the rabbit hole, as we say.
So what you call black projects regarding the space program,
yes,
and the future of humanity, what can you tell us about this program? Because there must be a program, there must be a cycle of these things, something which they are planning, is it?
A network, I mean.
A network.
Yes, absolutely. Well, I mean, I can say that we have a lot of evidence that NASA is what you call a front organization. And there are many innocent people working for NASA who don't know anything about the secret space program, which is operating sort of below.
So people are working, and they don't know that they are working for this.
Many people,
they
yes,
scientists
who don't even know that they may be supporting this program. But there is also a lot of knowledge, because what we have, especially in the U.S., is now two civilizations, two militaries. One military is a surface military, one government is a surface government, and underneath that we have a secret government. And that secret government is certainly at the top levels run by what we call the Bush cabal and the Rothschilds in England, who are very much involved. The Americans and the UK are working very closely together, as well as other countries. And certainly Russia is involved in a secret space program. China is involved in a secret space program. I can tell you that this is whistleblower testimony. In other words, these people have worked for these people, sometimes for 40 years. And so they come out and they tell the truth about what's really going on. I put a camera in front of their face. I ask them questions like you're asking me. And we go on for 2 hours, sometimes longer, sometimes 6 hours. And we document their testimony.
Alfred, influential people like, for example, Obama and the Vatican, for example, they know about all.
Oh yes.
About this?
Yes, very much so. And there is symbolism that goes on. I believe that Obama happens to be one of those presidents who knows very well what he's part of. In fact, there is some evidence that Obama comes from an Egyptian line of what you might call the pharaohs, and that he was, his DNA would match or be a descendant of Tutankhamun, for example. That he was specially genetically engineered to occupy the office of president at this very crucial time in history, and that he is aware of this. My understanding is that he may not be so happy about his role, but that it has no choice. In other words, if they're going to kill your wife or your children, when you get involved with these people, you don't have a way of getting out. It's very, very difficult. Some people who are very brave, like the whistleblowers we interview, are basically saying, I'd rather die than not tell the truth. And so this is what is going on. But yes, the Vatican is very well aware. In fact, the Vatican is, from what we understand, it's run by a group of reptilians that occupy the underground bases under the Vatican. And here in Malta, in fact, you are honeycombed with an incredible amount of caves and secret places, and there is no doubt, I have to say, that the Knights of Malta, for example, their fortress occupies St. Angelo, and there is evidence there is a secret energy from an old temple that was built there in the original days of Malta, Atlantis in essence, and that they built their fortress, or occupied the fortress once it was built, because that's a very special energetic place. So we're talking about dark magicians, many of whom are part of the Vatican, part of the Knights of Malta, and have been educated as to the dark arts, you might say, the occult philosophies and magic, in order to carry out their will, what they decide they want to see happen on planet Earth.
So while we are talking all this about this darkness, we must say that there is a way out.
Yes.
Meditation, spiritual work, prayer to God. This produces energy within the individual. Can you say something about this?
Sure. Well, I have to say that one of the keys to activating what we call Kundalini energy, orgone energy in the human being, to raise the consciousness, is to go to these what we call power places on Earth. And Malta is a power place. In fact, it turns out that not just the individual temples on Malta, but all of Malta appears to be highly energized.
Yes.
And if you're sensitive, you can feel the vibrations here in Malta. And I think that the Catholic Church is very well aware of that. In fact, they know where the power places are on the planet. In fact, they are also roping them off. They are not allowing humans to go in and to sit in the temple places. They are not. They are doing this in the pyramids. They don't want you to meditate there. They don't want you to raise your consciousness. And so there is a war for good and evil on planet Earth.
Yes.
And we have the numbers, if you will. The number of people that are waking up around the world to all of this information.
I'm understanding the church, all these
powerful.
churches in Malta, they are giving us good vibes, yes? Am I understanding?
Some of them, some of them, yes.
Why some of them?
Well, because we interviewed a very interesting man in the Barcelona area, and his name is Pere Vila, and you can find his interview on my website. And he has written a very thick book. He was investigating the Knights Templar and their knowledge, their occult knowledge, and he studies the groundwater that mostly goes under the church and other places. And some of the groundwater has been purposely, what you might say, reversed. In other words, they have sent in a frequency that is detrimental to humans in certain places, so that you lose your power. And if you go into these places and you spend time there, you will lose power. Now, on the other hand, they know where the good power is, where the good intersections of these ley lines and underground water flows, and they have studied this very, very extensively.
Alfred, dak li inti sejjaħ
geopathic stress. Hemm postijiet fejn tuk il-power fekażu aħna għandna jekk tmur ta' Pinu, jekk tmur f'dik il-kejf tal-Mellieħa. Għada ħantuva noħda, dak il-santwarju tal-Mellieħa ta' hemmhekk hemm power, hemm enerġija sabiħa. Hemm ċertu postijiet li tuk il-power, tuk l-enerġija, tħossok alive. U hemm ċertu postijiet meta tidħol fihom, tħossok għajjien, issa qed tisma' disko, m'għandekx aptitu, qed tifhem jixroblok enerġija. Allura daw il-power places jeżistu fid-dinja kollha. Imma Malta għandna ħafna power places fejn inti u meta int qiegħed f'power place li qed itik ċertu pożittività, hemmhekk inti meta inti tkun pożittiv tersaq li Alla. Għax dik naturali, jekk inti tkun f'power negattiv, ħadd tkun imħawwad, ħadd tara ċertu għawit. Iġvi, alla volja qed ngħidu li hawn daw il-problemi fid-dinja, imma inti għandek qawwa ġo fik, li dejjem ngħidu Ivan, għandek qawwa ġo fik, li inti tista' tikkomunika mal-Kreatur u di tista' mela billi titgħallem tkun kalm u ssib il-kwiet.
As a journalist, Kerry Cassidy naħseb m'għandix ħajja faċli, naħseb
No.
she's in danger.
No, she's in danger, yes. I would be afraid to travel with her because I would be...
She's investigating
It might
a very
be
sensitive subject,
that
yes?
flight 370, we don't know where it is.
But again, keep in mind that we have what we call white hats in all walks of life, and especially in the secret areas, working in the military. And I can tell you that my videos are watched in the halls of the CIA and the NSA. They are watching my videos, and I get reports from agents that tell me this. And I can also tell you that places like Veterans Today, which is a news outlet in America that's quite well known worldwide for American veterans.
Did someone one day called you and told you that you're being watched?
Oh,
No.
yeah.
I am being watched all the time. I mean, we are all being watched. This is what Edward Snowden is talking about, and he's telling you the tip of the iceberg, so to speak, in the surveillance society that we have. Your televisions are watching you, your cell phones are watching you. They can tap into you wherever they want. They
Where are
didn't
you?
lose. Flight 370 was not lost. They know exactly where it is. It was redirected to Diego Garcia, an American base. And so on. So, yes, I am watched, but so is everyone. But I am maybe watched closer, if you will. But again, I have my protectors.
Oh, I see. And who are the protectors?
What you might call the white hats. And also I have unseen ET protectors and unseen light workers, angels of light, however you want to term these people. They are working for the positive here on planet Earth.
Yes.
Il-forza ta' dlam u l-forza ta' dawl huma opposite each other. Dak li qed tgħidulhom whiteheads huma nies pożittivi. Jiġifieri din l-istorja tad-dinja. Iju titkellem dejt niftakar Fabel u Kajjin fil-Luċifru, this is the same forces.
Ekku, Alfred, imma kif il-ħażin isu dejjem jipprometti, isu dejjem jikber, isu dejjem jirnexxi, isu dejjem jibqa' dej.
Jiena naħseb il-ħażin huwa test tat-tajjeb.
Per eżempju dawn l-illuminati, dawn
Imma jiena naħseb li l-ħażin, minna il-ħażin ma tkunx taf kemm inti tajjeb. Tiġi boring il-ħajja, jekk titagħmel play, tittajjeb u l-ħażin. As I have discussed this with Kerry, that this is a game, isn't it? It's a play. And we must not take it seriously, but we must know that it is a play. And we have to, I believe in meditation. I believe in God. If you follow that, energy, you must be safe. I suppose everybody believes that. Ġifieri, jekk aħna naqbdu dik it-triq, alla volja u dawn id-diffikultajiet, issa temmen balla ta' Kristu u balla ta' Buddha biex trid, imma Alla wieħed u jisimak minn kwalinkwa ħalq. Ġifieri jisimak mill-lingwa tal-Musulman, mill-ilma ta' Kristu, tal-Buddi, ġifieri għandu ħafna, jisimak minn kullum kien. Jekk inti taqbad dik it-triq u l-eċċess għal dik it-triq hija li tkun kalm, li tfittex il-kwiet. Jienek naħseb.
Ekku.
Taqbel miegħek?
Iva, mhux kollox imma naqbel, Iva, ħafna affarijiet.
Fiex ma taqbel?
Fis-sens Alla ta' Buddha wala ta' Kristu hemm naqa' differenza fis-sens.
X'differenza?
Alla wieħed hemm veru, imma
differenza?
il-mod il-filosofija tiegħi fuq Kristu naħseb hija differenti minn minn.
L-istess, aħna kollha ġej minn Alla wieħed.
Diskutibbli imma bħalissa.
L-istess, jiena
M'għandniex-
il-Kristu nażel mhux il-Budda,
Ekku,
imma
ekku.
jiena qed ngħidlek, jiġifieri Alla huwa wieħed.
Il-qawwa forsi li għalija
U ma
l-qawwa ta'
jagħmilx-
Kristu.
u ma jagħmilx-
Anka issemmi l-isem Kristu biss huwa xi ħaġa għalija.
Pure oil, refine.
Għalija, issa speċi.
U Budda tfisser dawl.
Ukoll,
Il-kelma Buddha is light.
le. Fil-fatt, kif qed nisemmu l-Budda, xi ġimagħtejn oħra ħajkonna persuna hawnhekk se titkellem fuq il-Buddiżmu eċċezzjonali, Adrian Caruana fil-fatt insellimlu minn hawnhekk għax segwina spiss, Adrian, ġifieri naqbel 100%. Però għalija Kristu huwa xi ħaġa ma nafx hemm fuq ma nafx. Sa jiena il-mixja tiegħi kienet naqra mixja forsi ma nix nsemmi l-kelma brainwashed imma jiena fis-sensi fimni. Twilit dal-ambjent.
Alla ħares ma kienx Kristu għal ħafna nies, u alla ħares ma kienx Budda għal ħafna nies. Imma Alla.
Però dik li mhix taqbel miegħek, ġifieri nara d-differenza. Ġifieri Budda għalija mhux Kristu, Kristu għalija huwa xi ħaġa ħafna iktar, Kristu għalija huwa Alla.
Jiena meta nirsaq lej ix-xemx ma ntix titlu. Meta nirsaq lej Alla ma tieħx isem. Alla jiena u Alla għandna relazzjoni. Intu Alla għandkom relazzjoni.
Ekku.
U hekk ħadd titlu ħadd tagħmel differenza. U l-problema tal-umanità għax ħolqu d-differenza. Li jien u inti separati, jiena hekk u jien hekk. Dik hija waħda mill-problemi li ħolqu bibien bejn reliġjonijiet.
Però Alfred, aħna maħniex qegħdin nillejbiljaw,
Le.
għaliex inkellek qed nillejbiljaw qegħdin naqsmu. Mhux il-każ, aħna qegħdin ngħidu fl-essenza tagħha għalija issa forsi għalik differenti u għat-telespettaturi differenti. Fl-essenza tagħha Kristu huwa xi ħaġa li huwa oltre minn dak li huwa Buddiżmu, minn dak li huwa.
Jien ma nifhimx hekk. Jekk inti tersaq li id-dawl huwa inti Kristu qallek inti tista' tiġi u tagħmel ġubijiet iktar minni.
Qed niggur sax tgħidlek dawn x'qegħdin jgħidu llejla. There's something about religions.
Yes, okay.
Alfred, ngħidlek kif inhi, aħna l-iskop tagħna mhux li nitkellmu dwar Kristu.
L-iskop tagħna huwa li nsibu d-dawl.
Jiena Krishna, Kristu, għalija Kristu huwa xi ħaġa oltre, jiġifieri Budda ma qamx mill-mewt. Budda ma milx mirakli, Budda kien kbir.
Fejn taf x'għamel?
Għax mid-dokumenti li għandna ma milhomx.
Ma taf x'għamel.
Għamel
mirakli kemm fejn.
Għamel mewt Budda.
Inti Kristu rajtu jqum mill-mewt?
Ma għandi lajnin tal-fidi u ċert 100%.
Il-qawmin mill-mewt huwa il-qawmin mid-dlam. Mhux il-ġisem il-qawmin mid-dlam. Imma di suġġett ieħor. Aħna qed ngħidu li aħna l-umanità trid laqda spiritwali. Jekk ma jkunx hemm dik laqda ħajkun hemm separazzjoni u nkwiet. Kif qed ikollna?
Ekku, però xorta waħda ġifieri u Alfred selmu lil Kerry Cassidy qabel.
We had a debate in Maltese.
Aħna xorta waħda naħseb jiena mod personali ġifieri u naħseb għandi dritt ngħidha li il-programm tagħna huwa dak li hu. Ma nix nitkellmu Kristu, Krishna, xejn minn dan, imma dak li rridu ngħidu naħseb wassalnieh għal dak li jrid jaslilu. U vera. Kerry, thanks a lot, thanks for coming and keep up your good work.
Thank you.
Alfred, nirringrazzjak, aħna niltaqgħu miegħek fil-futur qrib.
Fil-futur qrib, yes.
Waqfa qasira ta' reklami eżattament wara nibqgħu bil-programm tagħna, għandna ħafna xi nwaslulkom u napprezzaw ħafna jekk tibqgħu magħna. Infakkar li fl-aħħar part tal-programm tagħna il-Father Mario Attard jaqra l-SMS tagħhom u napprezzaw li tibatulna l-SMS fuq 9940 9697 9940 9697.